Hi, this is Mr. Shumway. This video clip just goes quickly over some things that you'll see on the third quarter benchmark, but you might be able to do them now, but we'll specifically pinpoint some that are having to do with algebra and angles involved together, and being given a point and a midpoint, finding the other point, and writing abstract linear equations and absolute value inequalities. So what is the degree measure of the smaller of the two angles formed by the line and the ray shown in the figure below? So we want this angle right here. So A is 8, so we have 8x plus, and B is 2, and C is a 7, so we have 7x over here. Well, those two add up to 180 because they form a straight line. So we say 8x plus 2 plus 7x equals 180. And we can add the 8x and the 7x, so we can get 15x, there's like terms, plus 2 equals 180. Then we can subtract the 2, equals 178. And then we divide by 15, giving us the result that x equals 11.86. I'll just leave that in my calculator because I really want the whole angle here, so I want 7 of those. So times 7, so 83 degrees. Well, 83.1 if I stop there. Lines XV and YV intersect, whoops, that's a misspelling, at point V on the line WZ. So that means that all of those add up to 180 because they're on the line WZ. Okay, XVY. This one here, they say is 103. Well, so if I have 180 minus 103, that leaves me 77 degrees between those two. And that is 4a plus 2a, so that's 6a equals 77, so I divide by 6. And so 77 divided by 6 equals 12.8. So A equals 12.8, but we want, let's see, it's asking us for WVX. So let's change colors. WVX. So we want this one right here. Well, that's 4A. So with that 12.8333 still in my calculator, I will say times 4. That tells me that this angle here has to be 51.3. Oops. When O and P, which is at 9, 9, are graphed in the standard XY coordinate plane below, the midpoint of OP will be 4.2. So we know where P is. P is at 9, 9. Oops. And the midpoint will be at 4.2. So there's the midpoint. So the other one's going to be that same distance away from the midpoint going down. We'll find out how much we go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he is right here right there. And the coordinates of that point are -2, -5. The larger of two numbers exceeds 6 times the smaller number by 5. Then later on it says n is the smaller number, so the larger, so some L or something is equal to 6 times the smaller number and 5 more than that. So 6n plus 5. He exceeds that by 5, so it's 5 more than 6 times the smaller one. So now this next sentence says the sum of 4 times the larger. So the larger is 6n plus 5. So let's put the 6n plus 5 in right there. And we're talking about a sum, so that's plus. And 3 times the smaller number, and we said n is a smaller number, that equals 100. So that equation there can be solved for n. We're not going to solve it, we just want you to be able to write it. Write the complete solution set for the absolute value of 4x plus 2 is less than 10. Well, just remember the absolute value means distance from 0. And so 4x plus 2, that needs to be less than 10. And so we can subtract the 2, and we get 8. So 4x is less than 8. So x is less than 2. But it also could be that the distance here could be a negative number, and we take the absolute value of it, and its distance away from 0 is less than 10. So let's say 4x plus 2 is going to be greater than negative 10. So I have to be to the right side of negative 10 to be with it, so that the absolute value of the distance away from 0 is less than 10. So then when I subtract 2, I get a negative 12. And that has to be greater than 4x. So x is greater than negative 3. Well, I can write those in one expression. I could say and, but another way to show that would be negative 3 is less than x. See, it's kind of this one flipped backwards. So, and x is also less than 2. So you can write that whole, this and expression, you can write it this way. And it's just a little more compact. That's your range. You can go from negative 3 to 2. If you go past those, then it won't work in that inequality. Well, what if I said it was greater than 10? That means it needs to be further away from 0 than 10. So let's do the positive one. That's going to be greater than 10. And so we're going to subtract the 2, and we get an 8. So 4x is greater than 8. So x is greater than 2. And now we're going to do the negative one. So 4x plus 2 is going to be greater than negative 7. So it's going to be less than negative 10. So it's going to be to the left of negative 10. So it's more than 10 units away from 0. So then when we subtract the 2, we get a negative 12. And we still have a less than. We still have a 4x. We divide by 4. And it says x is less than negative 3. It looks very similar, but on a number line, so here's 0 and here's 1, 2, it's going to be that, and negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, it's going to be that. And so you have to be one or the other. You can't satisfy both conditions. So you write this as, you put an or between these two, and probably you would write the x is less than negative 3 first, but it doesn't have to be.